guys. So I've just done my second-hand expressing video, and whilst I'm here, now's as good as time as any to address the fact that a lot of people have a lot of really weird hang-ups when it comes to breast milk. I've had some really weird comments from people. I've had people saying stuff like, you know, did she do that with her kids in the room? Yeah, I'm expressing breast milk. My children are in the room. There's nothing weird about expressing breast milk, and it's certainly not something that you would not want to do in front of a child. After all, expressing the breast milk is for a child to drink, so why would you not do it in front of your child? Especially not in front of your older children who are fully able to understand what's going on. So these kinds of comments show to me just how ignorant we are here in the Western world, where we see breasts as more of a sexual thing than anything else. And you know, that wouldn't be so much of a problem, being that, you know, I think it's natural for men to be attracted to breasts. What annoys me is that not only are, it's not just that they're seen as a sexual thing, it's that they're only seen as a sexual thing, and that when they are being used in their, you know, original purpose, which is to feed and nourish a baby, all of a sudden these weird hang-ups arise where people are suddenly freaked out by the fact that a woman is feeding a baby from her breast. I've had a lot of people comment on to me saying, why are you not giving a baby a bottle? Why don't you just give the baby formula? Well, the reason I'm not giving the baby formula is because formula is, whilst it's very good and I have no problems with formula, it's, you know, it's got no competition between formula and breast milk, which is far superior. So if you have far superior source of nutrition for your child available, why wouldn't you give it to your child? I mean, obviously there are women that can't breastfeed for medical reasons, or for whatever reasons they find that they can't or choose not to. I'm not judging those women or putting them down for a split second. I would not do that. However, we all know that breast milk is better for a baby than formula. Not to say that a baby won't thrive brilliantly on formula. Yes, they will. My first two children, whilst I did breastfeed, it was for a short time only, and then they immediately went on to formula, and you know, they turned out brilliantly. You know, it was brilliant for them. So I'm not trying to make this about what's best, breast milk or formula, but you know, as technically a breast milk is going to be beneficial more to your child than formula. Secondly, I've also had people like say to me, you know, why don't you stop breastfeeding at 6 months? Well, the reason that I don't stop breastfeeding at 6 months is that babies have to have their main source of nutrition from milk up until the age of 12 months, and they are not able to drink cow's milk until after they've turned 12 months. So all babies will need either formula or breast milk up until the age of 12 months. So why would you start off breastfeeding up until 6 months and then convert to formula after 6 months? Why not just give the baby breast milk up until 12 months instead of changing the baby's diet, potentially, you know, upsetting its tummy? And, you know, if you're already breastfeeding, that's the easiest time to continue breastfeeding rather than to, you know, suddenly start breastfeeding. If you've already breastfed from the beginning, this is going to be very easy for you to just continue until 12 months. If it makes that much of a benefit to your child, why not just continue? You've already done it for 6 months, just continue for another 6 months. And the first 6 months are by far the hardest. After the first 6 months of breastfeeding, it's easy after that. I mean, it's seriously so easy to breastfeed after 6 months. Then people will say, well, at 12 months babies can drink cow's milk, so why don't you stop breastfeeding then? Well, that's true. After 12 months a baby can digest cow's milk. But still, children will need cow's milk or breast milk or formula up until the age of about 24 months. So if your baby's still going to be having a bottle with some form of milk in it, what's going to be better for the baby? Cow's milk, which is intended for a cow, formula, or breast milk? Once again, if you were already breastfeeding up to the age of 12 months, why not just breastfeed for a little bit longer? Now, there are women that can't breastfeed, although they would want to for longer, and this is not about that, this is about people that say, your child's 10, 12 months, immediately put it onto cow's milk. If you want to, you can. But let's not kid ourselves here. Breast milk is intended for babies. Cow's milk is intended for cows. Now, whilst we can drink cow's milk, and it's very nice too, it just seems to me that here in the Western world we have a lot of hang-ups where we're okay with a human drinking milk that's intended for an animal, but we're not okay with a human drinking milk that was intended for a human. Breast milk is intended for human consumption, and yet we tend to freak out when we see a human drinking it. We think it's got to stop at 6 months, 12 months, 24 months. Now, according to the World Health Organization, the average age of extended breastfeeding, or the average age that women will breastfeed for throughout the world is about 3 years. That's the average. But most women breastfeed up until 12 months. The World Health Organization advises you breastfeed your child for a minimum of 12 months, the average being 3 years, but they're advised to breastfeed up until 2 years. So you've got the minimum being 12 months, the advised age being 24 months, and the average age being 36 months. So you've got a year-old, 2 years old, and 3 years old. So any point of you breastfeeding up until 3 years old is completely acceptable. Completely. I mean, you can breastfeed your child for longer if you want to, but I mean, after that, I think, it does start to get a little bit awkward. I personally myself wouldn't want to breastfeed my child for longer than 3 years. I certainly wouldn't. I never thought I would breastfeed my child for longer than 2 years, to be honest, and yet here I am. My daughter's 2 years and 8 months, and she still breastfeeds. Very occasionally, yes, but still, she does breastfeed. So, what I'm trying to say is that, these hang-ups are things that we have developed here in the Western part of the world, because in other parts of the world, breastfeeding up until 3 years old is completely the norm. Breastfeeding up until 2 years old is like a bare necessity, and you definitely wouldn't stop breastfeeding your child before 12 months. For those women, it's very common to see a woman that's pregnant that's breastfeeding her first baby, or a woman that's got a toddler that occasionally breastfeeds, and she's breastfeeding a baby and she's pregnant. So, basically in those parts of the world, breasts are seen as what they're intended for, that they are a source of nutrition to babies and to young children. And in some parts of the world, if women couldn't breastfeed their babies would die. Here in the Western world, we have the choice, we have the option, because we know that there's so much other, milk available for our babies. And that's wonderful. That is, we are completely blessed. But in some parts of the world, that's not the case. A lot of parts of the world, women, if they couldn't breastfeed their child would die. So, we need to see breastfeeding for what it really is, which is an amazing thing. An amazing thing. And so, we really need to try and encourage each other to come away from these hang-ups. I mean, I still have hang-ups myself, because obviously I don't know of any women that, like me, have breastfed for as long as I have. I don't know of any women that have breastfed until the age of 2.5 years. I didn't actually know of any women that breastfed until when their baby was up to 12 months. When I was breastfeeding my first 2 children, you stopped breastfeeding at 6 months, weaned them onto solids, and gave them a bottle up until the age of 12 months. And that was the average scenario, and that's what I did with my children. Only I couldn't breastfeed up to 6 months. I stopped breastfeeding quite a long time before that. My first daughter I breastfed until she was 2 months old, nearly 3 months. And my son, I breastfed him for just 2 weeks because we had complications and things just didn't turn out. So, all of these things are just hang-ups that we have, and we really need to start thinking outside the box and, start thinking logically about this. This is not some new age hippie idea, yeah, let's drink breast milk, it's so cool. No, this is nature. This is completely natural. Your body is designed to do this, and your child is going to thrive, and you're giving your child the best thing you could ever give to your child by breastfeeding. It used to be seen as just, oh yeah, it's a lovely thing, you breastfed your child. I don't see that. This is not, we can't play it down just how amazing breastfeeding is. And I think I will do another video on all the advantages of breastfeeding and just, what it means to be able to breastfeed. So, so this is just my video to discuss some of those things, and I hope that I'm able to help you to, see breastfeeding in a much better way. And I'll be back with another update soon. See you guys, bye!